Be ready. 5 seconds. Start. Candidature of the private respondent herein for appointment on the post of civil judge cum judicial magistrate in the civil judge cadre against the 2 vacancies reserved for disabled candidates in the Rajasthan Judicial Service Examination 2016 and provide appointment as per merit of said category if she is otherwise eligible. The said order and direction of the High Court is assailed herein preliminary on the contention that the private respondent herein had not applied against the vacancies advertised for the physically challenged category but had applied as a general category candidate and as per the merit list she was not entitled to be appointed as there were more meritorious candidates in the general category and the appointment having been made, the process has been completed. The brief facts are that the appellants herein had issued a notification calling for applications for recruitment to the post of civil judge cum judicial magistrate in the civil judge cadre for 72 posts. Among the same, 2 posts were kept reserved for persons with disabilities. The private respondent herein had responded to the said notification but filed the application indicating her category as general and in the column provided for indication of the claim under the differently abled category had mentioned no. Hence, for all purposes, private respondent herein was considered as a general category candidate and had accordingly appeared for the preliminary examination. On being declared successful, she had appeared for the main examination and thereafter in the interview also as general category candidate without reliance being placed on the disability certificate. The result was declared on 15/11/2016. In the said list, the marks obtained by all the candidates were disclosed. The petitioner had obtained 136 marks and she was placed at serial number 137 as against the 2 vacancies for the differently abled persons. One of the applicants who had obtained 138 marks was at serial number 57. It is subsequent thereto the private respondent made a representation dated 28/11/2016 with a request to consider her candidature under the category for differently abled persons as visually impaired and to provide the appointment. The said representation being taken note, the private respondent was informed that her candidature under the category of differently abled persons cannot be accepted. It is in that view the private respondent claiming to be aggrieved filed the writ petition seeking direction for consideration of her request. While seeking consideration under the differently abled category, the claim is that the private respondent is having 80% disability as indicated in the certificate dated 5/7/2010 issued by the competent doctor. The High Court, while taking note of the contention, though had passed an elaborate order, the main consideration appears to be that though two vacancies were kept reserved for differently abled persons, only one vacancy is filled in by way of providing appointment to the candidate named Mrs. Renu Motwani at serial number 57 in that regard, though there is no definite material on record. The High Court has also observed that in the earlier examination for the same post held in the year 2013, the private respondent herein was allowed to appear in the physically handicapped category because she was having 80% disability. In that view, though it is not in dispute that the private respondent had indicated her category as general in the application, the High Court was of the view that even though a mistake was committed by the candidate, the representation submitted by her subsequently ought to have been considered sympathetically, and in this regard it was observed that the object of the persons with disability, equal opportunities, protection of rights and full participation Act 1995, hereinafter referred to as the PWD Act, should have been kept in view. In that regard, the position of law relating to the consideration under the said Act was taken note, and the provisions contained therein not to fill up the vacancies by any other category, but to carry forward the same was also taken into consideration. In that background, the consideration required herein is as to whether the High Court was justified in its approach in applying the proposition of providing opportunity to differently abled persons as provided under PWD Act, notwithstanding the fact that the issue presently related to the appointment of the judicial officer in the backdrop of the provisions contained in the Rajasthan Judicial Service Rules governing the same, and the vacancy is filled up. Further, the issue also is as to whether the direction is justified when no application was filed seeking benefit to the reserved category. We have heard Mrs. Meenakshi Arora, Senior Advocate for the Appellants, Mr. Pallav Sisodia, Senior Advocate for the Private Respondent, and perused the appeal papers. The notification dated 12/3/2016 issued by the appellants herein inviting online application in the prescribed format for the competitive exam for the direct recruitment to Civil Judge Cadre 2016 relating to the reservation and the procedure for consideration of differently abled persons reads as hereunder. Stop. Thank you.